Batman The Long Halloween Part 1, the brand new DC animated film, which is an adaptation, or at least half of it, of the 96 to 97 story of the same name, written by Jeff Loeb and art by Tim Sale. And Long Halloween is a big one. I mean, these two movies is a big one because the story itself, when it comes to Batman stories and DC stories, Long Halloween is always up there on the top 10, top 5, even the people's favorite stories of the company or for the character. And this is a hard movie to talk about because they decided to split the book into two movies, which was a smart move. How big the book is, and there's no way you can kind of fit all that stuff into a 90-minute movie without feeling cramped or just feel very janky and the whiplashing and feel like it was having too much to handle in its time frame. But it is hard to talk about because I'm trying not to spoil part 1, but at the same time I'm trying not to spoil part 2 because not everyone has read The Long Halloween. Like not everyone has read it, so you don't want to talk about certain points. Like, the only thing I'll probably mention, just because it's in the trailers and all that kind of stuff, is Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face in this. But outside of that, I'm not going to mention part 2. But for part 1, what I will say about part 1 is this is a really good adaptation of putting a story that was in one media and going to the other media. Because if you're expecting like something like All-Star Superman or something like The Killing Joke, the last 45 minutes, or The Dark Knight Returns, or Year One, or something, where they basically just adapted it. Like, it's that classic thing of like, hey, if any of you actors want to buy the comic or like, have a copy of it, if you want to bring your copy in, that's basically the script and that's the dialogue you'll be saying. So, yeah. So, it's not that. What they decided to do, and I thought it was a very smart thing, is they look at each chapter and they kind of said to themselves, what are those core moments? Like, let's use chapter 3, which is set at Christmas, and I'll explain the plot later. It'll sway after this. But in chapter 3, Christmas, it is one of those core moments. Okay, it's in Dustin Joker, and he evades Falcone's and Harvey Dent's house. And that's essentially those core scenes. You know, we don't really need to see him, tying up a family and him saying to them that I hate this song, while singing, Jingle All the Way, or whatever song he was singing. Like, we don't need that. The scene that works flows better. And because they picked those moments out for the entire movie, you get to have breathing room and get to have scenes expand. You have scenes that flesh out the characters more. Definitely with Falcone, with the Falcone family, because they're in the source material in the graphic novel. They're basically just, my children are dead, trying and only. That's basically what the dialogue is. Typical gangster mafia dialogue. While in this, it's like, yes, they are mobsters, they are gangsters, they are part of Gotham's mafia, but you have a sense of the family dynamic. Now, the story of this movie and both of these films is that there is this murderer, the serial killer going around, call himself the Holiday Killer, who kills people, kills the Falcone crime family, a member of the family, one member, per holiday. Starting from Halloween, going through Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, and then Valentine's Day, and then so forth. So, and I mean, to my point with the whole them picking the main moments, the key moment that happens in Valentine's Day in the 5th chapter, they just put that as a post-credit scene. Just put it out there. Anyway, and you have Harvey Dent, you have Batman, and you have Mr. Gordon trying to figure out who is Holiday, who is killing the Falcone crime family. And you just have this is a really good first half. Even as a standalone film, it works. Yes, it's a cliffhanger, and you're like, oh god, I have to wait a month for part 2. But it flows well. The voice acting is really spot on. I mean, who knew that Sam Winchester would be a good Batman? I mean, he's really good. Jason Ackles in this is really good as Batman. He really does really good job with the whole piss off Batman, like terrifying criminals, or just I'm going to break your bones, said mobster, and until you give me the information I need, type of Batman. He does a really good job, and he's a really good choice. All you people who are fan casting him to be Batman, yo, you were right. This is the first time that fan casting is the right choice. Also, we got Ania Rivia, who was the Glee actor who died last year. Catwoman. This Catwoman is her final role in these 2 movies. And she was good. I mean, it took me a while. I think it was that situation where I kind of needed to see her as Selena, then Catwoman first. Because Catwoman kind of did felt like when we meet her in the movie, she did kind of come across as that stereotypical Catwoman type voice. And then you're like, oh, I mean, okay, there's Selena. And we got more depth of what this version of this character is. But yeah, the rest of the cast is fantastic. This is just a good movie. It's a good mystery. It's a good fleshing out story. Calendar Man is great. They flesh out the Calendar Man scene. It isn't just him listing off holidays and then Gordon and Batman says, pusha. Yeah, the only scene that made me go, time out, that's a bit weird, was a scene where you have Gordon giving Harvey Dent a gun. Without giving you context, that was a weird scene. But outside of that, this is a really good retelling of this story, or at least half of it. We'll see how the climax goes of this. Let's not hope it isn't like a hostage situation or a killing joke situation or whatever. But so far, them covering half of the story, so far, really well done.